Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts 365 with some themes to watch in 2020. Before we get started, this is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. This is for informational purposes only, and I may hold positions in some of the stocks mentioned. I'm going to move quickly, so if you need to pause the video to look at the charts or write down the tickers, go right ahead. So the first theme is going to be China, and I'm going to do three China names, three names for each one of these themes. So first one is Alibaba. It broke out of this area and now it came back to retest it. I think Alibaba in China and China overall will have an amazing, potentially an amazing year. Tencent, if I spell that doggone ticker right. Tencent Holdings has an area that has been important in the past, came out, retested again, but all the moving averages are turning up, and I think Tencent Holdings has a potential in 2020 to outperform. The third one for China is going to be GDS Holdings, which already has broken out, but is still hasn't really run that far yet, and so it has now consolidated running this area. Another one to potentially watch. My next theme could be European banks. So we're going to look at three European banks. First one is Credit Suisse. You see the downtrend line has been broken, and now this area of past importance is now being tested again. I think Credit Suisse has some potential. And the next one is ING Group. Very similar look. The one thing that I do love about this particular one is the amount of volume that's been coming into this one. It's huge, downtrend line broken, and actually this one already has broken out of this prior area of importance. Third one is going to be AXA Equitables. AXA Equitables had this area that was tested, looks like 5 times, broke out, and now has consolidated nicely. The trend is higher. I think another European bank that is going to be moving higher. The semiconductors, I think this theme continues, and here are 3 semiconductor names that look interesting. Now, Intel has a nice little double bottom that broke out. It looks like it confirmed, but even when you look on the weekly chart, you have, let's make that better. Here's your all-time highs back from 2000, right? Now, the measured move from this little bottom puts you right into this all-time high area. I think that's a very reasonable place for Intel to end up. And I think Intel definitely moves higher and potentially could even break out here and go even higher. Next up is going to be Applied Materials. Applied Materials has tested, came back, tested, and then quickly retested again. I love when this happens and it's a quick retest. I think the likelihood of a breakout here is high. Again, lots of amazing volume that's been coming in here. Looks like accumulation to me, and I think Applied Materials can go higher. Last one is for Teradyne. Teradyne semiconductor name. This was an important level, broke out. Looks like it wants to come back and potentially retest this level. Again, some good volume has been coming into here, showing some nice accumulation in this name. I think Teradyne in the semiconductors can go higher. Financials have been working for the last few months, and I think they continue working. Visa broke out. Hasn't really taken off yet. Pulled back just a little bit. There's a little bit of consolidation. All the moving averages are moving higher. I think Visa can continue higher into the new year. Wells Fargo, I've been watching this one for a while. Helps if I, again, type tickers correctly. Again, ran up, consolidated. All the moving averages are moving higher. I think a breakout above this 54.75-ish area. And I think Wells Fargo continues higher. And the third one in the financials is going to be Trust Financial Corp. We have this testing of this area. It pulled back, tested again. Then we have one more test. It broke out, and now it's consolidating over here at these highs. And so strong move. All the moving averages are moving higher. I think Truist Financial continues higher. One of the big themes going into the new year, I think, is going to be 5G. So 5G, here's a ETF that tracks it, is testing its all-time highs. Again, it's a newer ETF, right? Just started in March 2019, newer ETF. But here are some of its most important holdings. And one of my favorites is going to be Qualcomm. And so when we look at Qualcomm on the weekly, these were its 2000 highs, 1999, 2000, and we're just now coming back and testing those highs again. So here's just some notes. We're back to the highs. All the moving averages on all time frames are trending higher. It's one of the biggest players in the 5G, so it's got a story behind it, and it's a humongous base. I mean, what's not to like about this one? Daily charts, again, hit it, pulled back, hit it. Now we're hitting it again. Moving averages moving higher. I think Qualcomm can continue much, much higher. Now, the neat thing about 5G is it's almost like a double dip onto semiconductors, because a lot of these are going to be semiconductors names. Another one is analog devices, a player in the 5G market, and also just now trying to break out of overhead supply. Moving averages are now all kind of turning up even more. I think analog devices has some potential. And the third one is AKAM. AKM. This broke out, came back and retested it, and now is starting to try to move higher again. I think as long as this 84-ish area holds, I think this one potentially could go much, much higher. To me, it just looks like a breakout, a retest, and now should be moving higher. Those 5 themes are my biggest convictions. Here's a few more that I'm watching that have some potential. First one is genomics. So we're going to look at CRISPR first. CRISPR Therapeutics hit this area, hit it again here. It's now moving lower, but let's see what happens. A quick retest of this area would be extremely bullish. Again, just something I'm watching, but I think genomics going forward could be a big area. TDoc. Teladoc, it broke out and is now starting to move higher. Huge amounts of accumulation here and has a very big short float. Teladoc is another one that I really like a lot. And here's a smaller name, Compugen. It moved higher, kind of sideways. All the moving averages are moving higher. You see, it's not a huge volume name, right? We're talking about average of somewhere around, I don't know, let's take a look here. Average volume is 240,000 shares, so not a huge volume name. So know your risk, smaller cap, but I like this one going forward. I think that this looks like a nice little consolidation here. Moving on, steel. I really like the way steel names look, and you see here's the ETF, and it broke out. And let's look at some individual names. First one is going to be Vail. So Vail has this very clean trend line, which is a downtrend, but now recently we're hitting it again. I think a break of this trend line with all these moving averages starting to align. I think this particular name can go much higher. Again, so this is steel. Second one is Freeport-McMoRan. Again, trend line. This trend line already broke, right? And now we're consolidating here. It looks like a nice little flag. Moving averages are starting to catch up. I think Freeport can potentially go much higher. And the third one is going to be Steel Dynamics. So Steel Dynamics ran up to the trend line, is consolidating smartly. I think a break of the trend line. I think this one could go much higher. The last one is going to be an energy stocks and OIH. I think OIH looks really interesting. It kind of ran down to this $11, $10.50-ish range, and now it's starting to move higher. It's testing this overhead supply, which is historically really, really important. If you see, it was making all-time lows, but now it's trying to get back above it. So if it can get above it, I think that there's some names in here that potentially could move. The first one is going to be Halliburton. Halliburton broke down. Now it's trying to get back above. This one has some potential. Again, just this little consolidation right here. National Oil Well, again, has this area, is trying to break back above. And Diamond Offshore. Diamond Offshore is, again, challenging this area right here. Already broke its downtrend line. Moving averages are trying to move up. So those are potentials. I mean, not for right away, but something definitely to watch. So again, it's the recap. I like Chinese internet, especially. Here's Queb. Okay, hit it. Moving averages are moving higher. I think this breaks out, and I think Chinese internet stocks go much higher. Baba, Tencent, GDS Holdings were my picks there. European financials. I think that this double bottom plays out. I think it does break out here above this 20-ish level. 3 picks in there were Credit Suisse, ING Group, and AXA Equitables. I think semiconductors continue to move higher. And skip this arrow, it's floating out here. I mean, it's a beautiful uptrend. No reason to think that this is not going to continue. So I think 3 names in here was Intel, Applied Materials, and Teradyne. I think IYG has this humongous breakout. No reason to think that this doesn't move higher. 3 names in IYG were Visa, Wells Fargo, and Truist Financial. I think that 5G, which is really just a more specific play on semiconductors, I think they break out. I think Qualcomm, ADI, and Akamai, Analog Devices and Akamai. I think all 3 of those work really good. I think the Genomics has some potential and needs just some watching. Broke out of here. It kind of failed. So again, just a watching, but I do like how this volume is coming in the ETF. I think steel has some potential, broke the downtrend line, and now these moving averages are starting to align nicely into an uptrend. In the ARCG, it was CRISPR, TDoc, and CGen. In the steel names, it was Vale, Freeport McMoRan, and Steel Dynamics. And in the oil sector, oil services, I think that I'd like to see this overhead supply get taken out. These moving averages are starting to curl up. Again, something to watch. Halliburton, National Oil Well, and Diamond Offshore. So those are a bunch of stocks, a bunch of themes for 2020 to watch, in my opinion, and I will be watching those. Good luck, everybody. Happy New Year, and I hope you guys have a happy and healthy New Year. Thanks. Bye.